was that it's hard when you feel like you can't be heard. It's hard when you feel misunderstood. It's hard when you don't feel like there's space for your contribution to be validated. And I realized that he wasn't talking about me. He was talking about him. Because there are a lot of times I don't make a lot of space for him. It's more times than not, I don't really want to hear what he has to say. There are a lot of times when I would just as soon push him to the side and go with my own idea versus having his input. And I'm not equating myself with an Old Testament prophet. I can barely equate myself with someone who can hold a job. But I think in those moments that God does break through. And we realize not that he's teaching us lessons, but that he allows us to, in a sense, learn a little bit about how he feels with us. And that's not a bad thing. Actually, it's a very good thing. And what I appreciate more than anything else is his willingness to keep at it, because there's been times that I've checked out. I've said enough. I don't want to play anymore. I don't want to work any harder. I don't want to do any more else. I just want to step back. I'm checking out. I'll do what I need to do. I'll work hard, but I'm not playing with a full heart. What does that have to do with communion? Communion is a reminder that God does not do that. God always plays with a full heart. He always plays all in. And whether he feels heard or not, or understood or not, he doesn't stop. He doesn't stop to the point where he would break his very body to make himself understood and to not only tell us, but show us, as John says, the full extent of his love. It also means that he's willing to seal that deal, that promise, by pouring out his very life, by being willing to spill his own blood to not only make things right between us and God, but to also seal a promise that nothing can ever break that bond. It's a covenant. It's a contract. It's unbreakable. And when we come and we take these elements, it's simply an act of remembrance that he doesn't check out, and he doesn't quit, and that he always plays with a full heart. So, in just a moment, some volunteers are going to come out, and I'm going to give some instructions about how we're going to take communion together. But before I do that, I just want to ask you a question. If God were willing to speak into your life, would you be willing to make a little space for him tonight? Just right here, where it's safe. It's dark, the lights are down, nobody's really looking because they're all busy with their own stuff. Would you be willing to make some space and take a risk that God might have something to say to you? Now, I know that some of you don't even believe that God exists, that he would have anything to do with you, because you don't want to have anything to do with him. And that's fine. He says something slightly different, though. He says if anyone, and it really does mean anyone, would take a chance to see if he's there, he's willing to show up. For some of us, God is simply a convenient construct, a nice moral system to go by, a way to keep order and keep things going on a smooth keel, and an even keel, a smooth path, and that's great too. But what would it look like if God were to become more than that, if he were to become real, in a way that would communicate to you, that would allow you to not only know about him, but maybe even to begin to feel some of the things that he feels? For others of us, we've had a love-hate relationship with God. Maybe not so much with God, but with the people that represent him. And sometimes we just want to quit, check out, enough. I don't want to play anymore. What would it mean if we were willing to allow God to carry that weight for a little while, even if we have checked out, to see if he might be willing to carry us a little farther until maybe we gain the confidence and the strength to check back in again? And finally, for some of us, it's simply a matter of We know this God. We've experienced him, and we hear his voice, not in some crazy way, but just in that small way that we know it's him, because it couldn't be anybody else. I think the question maybe to us in that crowd is, are we willing to take that safety and that connection out of this environment and take it somewhere else? To create the kind of safety and that kind of connection for other people. I don't know what the answer is, but I'm confident that you do, and I'm confident that God does. And I'm just saying that maybe if we gave him just a little space tonight, that maybe you don't have to go halfway across the world to hear his voice. It's not a bad gig if you get to, but maybe you don't have to go that far. Maybe it could happen here.